Sound check. Sound check. Okay. The first thing I like to do is welcome you here to Can Angels Fly Tarot and More. My name is Nancy, and I'm here to continue with my predictions for September of 2021. And it's what you can expect. What in September of 2021? This is still part 5, but this is the second part. So I have it part 5 2.20. Okay. Next thing I like to apologize for the sound, the wind blowing sound. Hopefully it's not too distracting and disruptive, but it's really hot where I am, so I have a fan blowing nearby and try to put it on low, but I just can't do without it. So thank you for working with me. Now, if you're ever interested in ordering your own personal tarot reading, you can do so by contacting me by email. My email is canangelsfly1@gmail.com. All the details that you need to order your own personal tarot reading is below this live stream. Now, if you're ever interested in offering support to me and my work, if you're ever interested in supporting me and my work, you can do so by doing what? You can go to my home page, and in the right hand corner is my Cash App name, link, or whatever it's called. And I think it's $ Can Angels Fly Tarot. Okay, where do I begin? This portion of my predictions for September is somewhat of an Aquarius rambling rant. We'll see how it goes, because I have so many notes. Anywho, let me kind of frame this reading, this interpretation of what I've been picking up, the messages I've been picking up. I'll frame it with the zodiac sign Aquarius. So let me describe Aquarius to you. Aquarius in astrology represents each individual that creates humanity during a particular time period in the history of humanity. And that time period is September of 2021 and beyond. The motto for Aquarius is I know. So coupling the motto with the meaning of the zodiac sign lets us know that humanity knows exactly what it must do in order to break free of the shackles that imprison us or bounds us. The shackles that imprison or bound us are, in our reality, the rules, regulations, and policies that have been established in this realm by our current world structure, social structure, and social structures that are moving us into a new paradigm that removes us from our Creator. It leads us to lose sense of self and our individual identity, and our drive to impose our will into the world. It's draining us of that completely, draining us, or I forgot the word I was about to use, but taking it away from us. These are the chains that shackle and bind us, or bound us now. In past live streams, I picked up on how the majority of humanity had the sense of being trapped in a web, or like a spider's web, and can't get free. And the more we struggle, the more we get entangled and are left vulnerable to be devoured by our enemies. In this case, our enemies are the powers. Some of those powers are ethereal beings that cannot be seen, not with the naked eye. So, we want to be free. We want to be able to pursue living our best lives while we are here. We want to be confident that our offspring will also be able to live their best lives, you know. But yet, we can't get free. We're struggling, trying to get free, getting more entangled in this way. The energies are saying, hey, humanity, you know, back to the model of Aquarius, you know the answer to your liberation. But are you worthy of liberation? What I'm going to talk about over the course of this live stream is a prediction, a part of the prediction for September 2021 and beyond. However, it's just going to be offered in an alternative form other than me decoding the charts. I'm going to give you more of a refined summary of the messages that I've picked up. And so, in part 5, the part 1 to this video, part 1, 5.1, the first part, what I did was I decoded the astrological wheel chart for September live, and I gave some predictions in that video. Over the course of that video, I made a few statements that at that time I wasn't willing to go in depth on. In this video, I'm going to go a little more in depth. One of the things I will cover is about R. Kelly being a literal distraction, and I will try to make that make sense. And also, I will talk about how the crate challenge is also a distraction, and I will try to make that make sense. But before I go there, before I start descending into more revealing predictions, I want to go over the notes that I accumulated. Let's see. Humanity, you know. Now, I know I failed to complete my notes for this part because it's just too much writing. So I'm going to try to go off the top of my head. We'll see how it goes. Right now is the time for the people of humanity to define what the new paradigm will be, or what the new normal will be. And the new normal, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the social constructs that will be in place to facilitate the existence of humanity on this earth from, this moment forward. What's going to be here. And the rules, regulations, and policies that those structures or institutions will impose upon the people. The new paradigm or the new norm also has to do with socially and politically right and acceptable. I use as an example sexuality, marriage, what do they call it? Choice to life or something like that. Choose the life. Just all those kind of things, how we interact with other. All of these things are currently being defined, whether you know it or not. Right now, humanity is existing on a debilitated or crippled, outdated structure that is rapidly decaying. And we are just stepping over into the new paradigm. And again, it is time to define the dynamics of this new paradigm or new paradigm living. Currently, the astrological energies show that the masses, the majority of the 8 billion people on this planet are not actively participating in redefining the new paradigm in a way that will be beneficial to themselves and those that follow. Instead, the powers of this world are manipulating all aspects of our existence, and they are solely defining the new paradigm, the new world order, the new normal. And those refinements, those intricate details are not in favor of the people, but are tactics, or will end up being like criteria that ensures the power's continued political, social, and economic success and control over this world, all of its natural resources, and all the people that exist in humanity at any given time thereafter. It's important to understand, to allow these powers to dictate and to monopolize our reality is going to be detrimental to the masses. I'm hoping I make this make sense. So, in the month of September, I announced in part 1 of this series of predictions that the powers will be twisting the arms of the people in order to force them to bow down and to do what the powers need the people to do in order for them to continue to manifest their agenda, complete their agenda. I talked about how there are going to be major shifts in the markets. There are also going to be major shifts in our health. And when I say, let me stop. Remember, the powers are going to be implementing many tactics in order to manipulate or twist the arm of the people to do what they want them to do, what the people must do in order for them to reach their goal. Some of the tactics that they're going to be using is like the cost of living going up, to the point it really incites fear and discomfort in the people, forcing them to do what? To yield. Another tactic that the powers are going to use and continue to use is to attack the people's health in order to strike fear in them and bend their arm back and force them to do as they need them to do. Now, right now, I'm going to stop and talk about the sector of health, because there, as of now, we have moved through a period in history where we had the introduction of a pandemic, the VID, on the world stage. It's been over a year, and since and during this last 6 months or so, we've been introduced to a vac. After the vac, then there's the announcement that it's the Delta, or the variant. Now, the variant. The term Delta, I researched it. And so I just want to read some of the definitions that are associated with the term Delta. I'm going somewhere with this. Delta signifies a marker, variant, Delta announcement inspires or implies pressure. That's what Delta really implies. It's a time period of, it's time to put the pressure on the people. You know, that's what the astrological alignment is saying. It is time in September to put the pressure on the people. So I hope I'm not making this make sense. The term Delta means to put pressure down. I'm going to go a little further. Apply pressure upon the people to comply with health recommendations. What am I doing? I'm making predictions for September. It's already going on. It's going to amplify. Again, the term Delta is defined as a point or a marker of anticipated compliance, resulting in achieving herd immunity. That is what? 70% of the population. Let me stop. Because I'm reading the wrong part. I just said I was going to define Delta, and I didn't. But let me try to define Delta again. But all that I just said applies. Okay, Delta, the term. It says, did you know, in my notes, it says anything triangular is Delta. An incremental change in a variable. Incremental change in a variable. The bottom of this triangle is the onset of the V. There's been an incremental, incremental change taking place. The bottom of this triangle is the introduction of the V. We have moved through time over a year, and now we're at this point. It's incremental. It's narrowing. Does it make sense? It's narrowing. The narrow part or the tip of a triangle is the pressure point, the delta. That suggests what? In the plan of action, in a blueprint, it's time to put the pressure on. So, I predict, and we're already seeing it, that there are many mandates being put out. Prepare, because they will impose mandates. Stop. Something else that I picked up on during my studies of the astrological energies for September is that the .gov is surrendering its power over to private sectors. We've heard about these kind of things, private sectors. And this is on a broad scale, even internationally. The .gov is relinquishing its power and its contribution and handing it over to the private sector. It's called, if I can pronounce it correctly, privatization, meaning they're giving it over to corporate owners and leaders in various industries of this world, like what do you call it? Energy, energy for lights, gas, water, all those kind of things. They're handing it over to them. Now, I want to talk about this here because right now, because I forget. The reason why that's significant, the reason why it's so important, is because if the government has legally relinquished their involvement with the various constructs of the world, see, we're under new development, new paradigm living. new world order, the new constructs coming up. How can I say that? Any natural, what do they call it? Natural energy. The heat, off your lighting, provide heat and stuff like that to help you move through life comfortably. Those aren't new structures. They're being revised, renewed, renovated. And what's the step? One of the steps of them being renovated, the government is relinquishing their affiliation with such things. What did the government's participation in such a sector of natural energy that we use to heat our houses and stuff, what did it look like in the old paradigm that's being destroyed and demolished? Well, what it looked like was credits and subsidies. You say credits and subsidies, Nancy? Yes, credits and subsidies. An example is on most people's utility bills, there was always a credit. As high as your bill would be, the mindset or the ideology of the .gov, as well as the utility company, is that they was helping you out. They gave you 20 cents. That's a subsidy or credit. Even the most wealthy person that got a nice mansion or a big house had that subsidy on their utility bill. In a new paradigm, that's gone. There's no reason for it. Why? Because the .gov will not have any involvement with such social constructs or infrastructures of the world. It won't have any involvement. It's all privatized. Mm-hmm. Very specific people own the deeds and rights and the resources solely to themselves. An example of a person like this that we often hear about is Bill Gates, and Bill Gates being the holder of the greatest amount of farmland ever known to man thus far. That's an example of privatization. He owns all the farmland. He can do with it as he will. Okay. So what else I'm just saying? I'm predicting. Start in September. I don't know if the people are going to know this because these were undertone messages in the stars. But it lets us know, those that can see, that those subsidies will begin to disappear. So I wanted to bring that up right then and there before I forget, because we, the people, are challenged in discerning and comprehending who we should hold accountable for where we are and where we're going. Who should we keep in check? At one time, it was the .gov. But now, it's all of these individual private owners. Big corporate people. Big corporate, big industry. So that tells me that I personally thought and began to think that there were ethereal beings that had manifested here in physical form, and they were just in like governmental positions, and yes, some of the corporations and stuff. But I'm here to say, and I'm continuing, that these people that own these corporations and are the head or leaders in the necessary industries in order to perpetuate life on this earth for humanity, at least for some time. It's a whole nother video. Are, they're not human. They're not human. Not at all. But then again, that's another video. So, who should we look at? Who must we hold responsible immediately? It is the heads of these corporations and the industries. Why? Because they are private companies now. They are private corporations. calling all the shots. The .gov don't even have their hands in it. They threw their hands off of it. They took their hands off of it. So we are dealing with some real evil and greedy people. And that will be revealed in the next video, most likely. I think I'm going to have to do a part 3 in order for them not to be too long. You know, I'm long-winded. I'm trying to not be so long-winded. So, we will start seeing various subsidies. Like I was talking about the utility company and the little 20-cent credit they give you, saying they save you some money you saved, will be gone. And we don't realize how far these subsidies reach. At one time, some years ago, I end up finding a video that covered the various subsidies that were offered by the .gov. And I did not know they touched so many sectors of our lives. And many people believed, even myself believed, that only people that got subsidies was poor people, struggling people, you know, the working poor. But it was even the well-to-do. I gave the example of the credits on the utility bill. But the subsidies come at the grocery stores, too. If I recall the information that I saw in that documentary years ago. The grocery stores will get subsidies from the .gov in order to keep the prices of groceries down. That's about to be ridiculous. I shared in the first video, the first part of this series of predictions, that the market is going to shift. I think I might have said it even at the beginning of this one. I'm not sure. The market is going to shift in the direction and in the favor of the powers. The powers now I'm going to define as the leaders of the various necessary industries in this world to keep it running, as well as these head corporations. Those are the powers I'm talking about. It's leaning in their favor, the markets. So for them, on their level, I'm talking about stock markets and commodities. I ain't even talking about cryptocurrency. That's secondary to what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the natural resources of this world that sustain the human life and therefore is truly wealth. The market leads in their favor. That means they play the market. And they doing what? Monopolizing. Mm-hmm. On the other end of the spectrum, the other party is us. The other, mostly 8 billion people in the world that are currently known to be sheeple, asleep, and unaware, and unable to see and discern what's taking place right in front of your face. They showing us what R. Kelly and create challenges, but I'll come back to that later. So, on our side, when it comes to the markets, we currently have, relative to astrology, we got Uranus and Taurus. I think that's what it was. Now, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm recalling it right, I might be saying this wrong. I do believe Uranus is debilitating in Taurus because too much trial and tribulation taking place that you can't live your best life. That's what the debilitation is. And Taurus lines up with your food, your quality of life, whatever allows you to live the kind of life you've grown accustomed to living. The baby say you living your best life. All of that's disturbing. It also talks about what is there? I think Leo. I can't remember. Yeah, Leo. No, that's first house. So I want to say, I'm trying to think of the astrological wheel on the top of my head, y'all. That's what I'm doing. But I know it says something like this, even if I can't think of the actual alignment, is that our markets, the cost of living, is going to begin to creep up. It already has, but I'm talking about to an uncomfortable level. Again, it's the vanishing of those various credits that we didn't even know were there because it seemed like they really didn't make a difference. But when you look at the areas in life that these credits cover is going to cause the cost of living to jump up considerably, like overnight. Overnight. So we're talking about the gas that we buy. Those people, if I'm not mistaken, got a credit too in order to keep the price of gas down when they're not good. Food, medical care, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong because this was years since I seen this documentary, but there were credits and what's the name of it? Credits and subsidies handed to all different businesses and corporations. I guess it was to be what's the term? Like to inspire them to want to be in business and stuff, doing business in like this United States as an example. I don't know about nowhere else right now, but here. So those things will start to dissipate, and it's going to cause the cost of living to go up considerably. You go to sleep one night and wake up the next day, and things are going to start, like really creeping up noticeably. That's one of the reasons why. Yeah, I wanted to point that out about the market. Another thing that is shown in the astrological alignments, a lot of people may begin to have problems with their teeth during this time, and that can cascade into a whole another set of unfortunate and uncomfortable life experiences, because at this time people may very well not be able to access the insurance that they had. It may be jeopardized due to various circumstances and situations that we've been dealing with, and then the teeth go bad or something like that. In September, what else was it? It was after that. Let me keep going. Okay, remember, framing this particular live is the theme of Aquarius. 8.8 billion people. 8 billion people. You know the answer to your liberation. So I guess at this time, we under a lot of pressure. The pressure and the manipulation is intensifying. We know the answer. What do we, the people of the world, have to do in order to liberate ourselves from our captivity? I personally believe, because I'm a pessimist, that we aren't capable of doing so. And I'm going to say why. The ruler of, there are two rulers to Aquarius. One is Saturn. So I'm going to talk about Saturn for a minute. And then I'm going to switch to the other side, co-ruler, which is Uranus of Aquarius. And I'm going to talk about Uranus for a reason. These are the reasons why I don't think some of the reasons why I don't think humanity can overcome our obstacles, even though they're making us feel very uncomfortable. And we know where it's headed. We know where it's headed, and we know what we have to do. I don't think we're willing to do it. So we sit around and joke, and we allow ourselves to be distracted. Why? Saturn. Saturn is the taskmaster, master. It says, hey, Aquarius, or each individual that creates humanity at this time that all this is going on, this is what you gotta do. And it tells us exactly what we have to do. And so what it has told us that we have to do is a certain set of things. I'm going to go over those certain set of things in a minute. Then the other co-ruler to Aquarius says, all right, each individual in humanity that exists at the time that all this is going on, while you doing what Saturn has told you, instructed you to do, so you can get after stuff and live your best life, while you doing all that hard work, there are going to be sudden events constantly unfolding. Trials and tribulations, one on top of the other, and you have to overcome those trials and tribulations, stay positive and confident and productive, because that's what Saturn requires in order to achieve your goal. So what am I saying? I'm saying between Saturn and Uranus, I don't think the people that create humanity at this time has the fortitude to endure what we must endure to liberate ourselves. Yeah. I'm a pessimist. Anywho, what does Saturn tell us that we have to do? It says, okay, humanity, this is what you got to do. You got to dissolve the boundaries that separate you people of the world, humans. You got to dissolve it. You got racism, you got various religious differences, cultural differences, economic and financial discrepancies and things. All these kind of things just separate you. You let your skin tone separate you. You don't work together. You judge each other. This is what Saturn says we must do if we want to free ourselves. And we don't have the fortitude to do so. We don't know how to resolve those boundaries so that we can do what? Realize that we are all one species on this planet. So we all have an interest in this planet surviving, because only through the survival of this planet do we survive in the physical. Okay? That's what Saturn says we have to do. After that, it says, okay, once you dissolve these unnatural, toxic divisions among you, the reality is y'all all over the earth. Y'all have multiplied and been fruitful. You know, you're fruitful and multiplied. So y'all are all over the place. And so you have to perform the following task as intimate groups or networks. In reality, we call them communities, you know, because we in close proximity to each other. I'm not in close proximity to somebody in another state, and I'm really not in any closer proximity to somebody on the other side of the world. So we do have to work by sectors or communities, but not divided by racism, religion, and different toxic biases. We are dividing up into sectors or communities for a reason. And then Saturn said, this is all the rules, regulations, policy, and guidelines Saturn has submitted to humanity and said, hey, if you want to liberate yourself, this is what you must do. You know, he's the taskmaster. It's hard. And it takes a really long time. It takes some time to accomplish these things. And you have to have the fortitude to do so. And all the time that you got, we trying to do this, break down these toxic boundaries. It's various circumstances and tribulations and stuff constantly unfolding, that the challenges we got to overcome. The next thing Saturn said, it said, hey, now that y'all done broke up in these little sectors, you have to understand there's a need for a hierarchy. Yes, a hierarchy. Not the toxic, distorted hierarchy that has been represented by our .gov as an example. Not that. No. But there needs to be some leadership. And Saturn went into detail. I'll give an example. There has to be a tribal chief or a community leader. There has to be a council behind that tribal chief or community leader in order to make sure that everybody knows what role they need to play within a community. You know, in order to what? Do what is necessary to sustain everybody's life in that area. And what must, just focusing on the micro part of this, the community, is everybody has to meet the demands of the grand urges. This is what Saturn said. You don't have a choice. If you want to liberate yourself, this is what you must do. And the grand urges are what? You must eat and drink. So Saturn said, y'all have to ask yourself, how are you going to feed everybody in your community? Because everybody got to eat. If they don't, they'll die. How are you going to make sure that everybody in your community got fresh water? Because understand, if they don't drink, they're going to die. Everybody needs shelter and some environmental control. If they do not pacify the natural, what do they call it? The natural condition of their physical existence, they're going to be uncomfortable. So they die. So that's why that community and tribe is needed to work together to keep each other alive. But you got to look at your world as it really is at this point in time in the history of humanity. You do have multiple states and countries and land mass and all that kind of stuff. And so this is a difficult part to try to take something I was just talking about on the micro level and building it all the way up to a macro level. We have a representation of that same system on a macro level. And it is how our world structure has been set up. And the .govs, they were corrupted. And they have sold us out. That's going into talking about the privatization of of industries and corporations that deal with the natural resources that we need to sustain all our lives. They're monopolizing. They're taking all the natural resources. Okay. What am I talking about right now? I'm doing my predictions for September of 2021. And this is what Saturn is saying to each of us. It says if you want to be free, you know what you got to do. And this is how it is done. So there has to be so many, I'll say, the population has to be broke up in micro sectors or communities, all with the tribal chief leader, the relative, the council, and the people must all know what they're supposed to do and be willing to do it. Because what? That's the only way you're going to lead. Only way you're going to lead. And why do you need the tribal chief? Another reason you need the tribal chief. I'm trying to get this out, y'all. You need the tribal chief. Because that tribal chief within your intimate community area, location sector, has to connect with the chiefs of all the other sectors. Why? Because the way your world is now, you're so broad. And the natural resources that you need to access, humanity, are not right in your backyard anymore. They're not in your backyard. You've been manipulated over hundreds of years. The water is no longer in your backyard. The wells, the water, the lakes, the rivers, they're all contaminated. You know, the food, the fishing holes, whatever the case may be, the wild game, whatever, it's not in your backyard no more. Especially if you're in the inner city. So it's no way that you can pacify your community members' grand urges. Not by yourself. Not no more. Let me stop to make this make sense. There are powers that exist in our realm. And I don't know if those powers are extraterrestrial in true nature or if they are ethereal beings manifested in the physical. But there are powers. And over hundreds of years, these powers have manipulated the species, humanity, to surrender their ability to access life-sustaining resources. And they've hoarded them. And they've removed them from us. And they assign these resources to industries. First, the .gov was regulating those industries. And we thought we saw corruption. Now, the .gov has thrown their hands off the responsibility of overseeing the facilitation of all the natural resources that humanity needs to sustain their life at any given time in the history of humanity. Took their hands off of it. Said, we ain't doing it no more. We're going to let each one of those industries, these corporations, do it themselves. They can do as they will. It's their property. What's their property? The ones that own the water, they own the water now. They contaminated any local water sources. They own the water towers, the water processors, all these things. How are you, little community, going to pacify your members' grand urge of thirst, knowing that if you fail to do so, they're going to die? Okay? .gov took their hands off of it, said, your property, you go ahead. What is that next industry? What is that corporation? What the individual that heads that corporation, founded that corporation on? Oh, they own all of the edible plant life in a region. Government took their hands off. They ain't over seeing that it's distributed, to all the people in the world know to sustain them. That individual is totally in control. They can do what they want to do with it. How are you, individual community leader, going to be able to access all those natural resources hoarded by a particular owner, one owner? It's a private company or corporation. Like, example, Bill Gates being the biggest farmland owner in the world. What are you going to do? So, let me stop. Because I just gave a couple of examples of how the natural resources that we need to sustain our life have been hoarded and now are in the, what do you call it, not custody, but the, I'm trying to think of a legal term. I can't. In the possession, legal possession, ownership of the natural resources that we all need. Let me give you one more example. Dealing with farming. Oh, the astrological energies for September, y'all, was some deep stuff. Because it signified and talked about such places as Monsanto. Oh, yeah. And how they genetically encoded their own seed that was invasive and invaded individual farmers' crops, and then caused it to transfer or to be copy the seed from Monsanto. So Monsanto end up owning the farmer's seed, and therefore the farmer's farm, when they found they patent seed in their field, and they were in the middle of monopolizing the agricultural industry. Those are very corrupt beings. I don't think they're human, actually. I don't. I really don't. Anyway, whole nother video. So, I wanted to bring up Monsanto as an example because these are the kind of industries people have been warning us about. The astrological energy suggested like a place like Monsanto and their privatized industry, privately owned industry. They can do what they see as they want. The law backs them. They own it. Own what? Well, didn't I just say that their seeds invaded independent farmer seeds, stamped it as if it was their own, and they took it. They hoarded all the natural resources that we need to sustain our lives. And as when the new paradigm is fully active, we got to yield to these private sectors' will, or we don't eat, or we don't drink. We don't get environmental controls to warm our houses or cool our houses. These, between the .gov, I thought it was the .gov, I'm telling you, that's what I thought it was. But it is the leaders in these various industries that start these corporations. It is them that are the primary focus to whom we are to seek out and devour before they devour us. Truly, they are. And I'm telling you what, Because I'm telling you what Saturn said we need to do. And Saturn was posing all these questions to me and you, us, saying, how are you going to meet the demands of life? How are you going to meet the requisites for life? Hunger, thirst, need to sleep, and to wait, to defecate and urinate. How you going to do it? Well, you ain't got none of the resources. And from your location, they ain't in your backyard no more. Now you depend on shipping and things like that. Who's going to ship it? Who's your truck drivers? Will you go to work and ship the shipments that you need to ship without getting a paycheck? That's what Saturn said. Will you go out and till the land without a paycheck? Said you ain't got the fortitude. You ain't got it. Who ain't got it? Almost the 8 billion people that create humanity at this time. Because the truth is, Saturn was right. How the heck are we going to get the food to us? We depend on shipping. But the industries have locked all of that down. And it has made every individual that powers or help them gain their control reliant on money. And not on the fact that you got to do what you got to do to sustain your life. You got to do what you got to do, 8 billion people, to strive, to survive, and stay in this life. That's what Saturn was saying. So while all this going on, they're going to continue to be unanticipated, unexpected, unprovoked trials and tribulations that keep cropping up. Because these people that are the head of these industries are not going to stop. Because they have what? Ultimately, an interest in the imprisonment of the human species and ultimately the destruction of the human species. Now I'll go to that on the next level. Okay. Well, I'm going to stop. What do we have to do? What else did Saturn say we had to do? It said we had to dissolve toxic diversity. We have to forge or create various like substructures, sectors, and then have the tribal chiefs come together, and then the next level chiefs come together, and then we can all facilitate it. It's the people for the people is what it's saying. The people working for the people. The people, what did it say? Is it in here? It's somewhere. Anyway, Saturn went on and told me something else. What else did it say? It was talking to me. Now, back to what we currently have unfolding. Is the vid, the vax, and the variant. So, remember, pressure. We can wake up tomorrow and say, we're going to do this. We're going to do this before it's too late. We're going to do it. And the pressure is already being applied. In the month of September, it increases with intensity. Remember, did it stop it? Delta. The point on the triangle is a marker to put the pressure on the people. To get them to comply, because we have to fulfill our agenda, not us, the powers. They want at least 70% of the population vaxxed to have or to create what they call the herd immunity, leaving another 30% unvaxxed, but yet susceptible to or in the line of danger to being exposed to a variant that is created by the vax. Putting the pressure on the people at a very critical time to make sure that toxic division stays in place. That we are all separated and fighting and arguing and cannot work, because this right here is the critical junction. Why is this moment in time, with a primary focus on September, a critical junction in the history of humanity? Because this is the period in which the new paradigm, the new world order, the new normal is being defined. And it's the powers that are defined solely by themselves. And what is it defined by thus far? The new paradigm is defined by the .gov hands-off, everything in the possession of private investors and companies and corporations that we're going to have to go to and grovel to get what we need to sustain our lives. And the whole time, the cost of living is about to go through the roof in every aspect of life. Why? Because the .gov took their hands off subsidies and what they call credits removed. That's one. The next thing is that they're going to say, hey, we gave out all this money. We owe trillions and trillions of dollars. But money really is not real. It's a figment of our imagination. And it is a tool that we use in order to be able to simulate the flow of currency or blood. Not really real. We use it to be able to see how things are flowing. But, so, you're going to say we have to pay all this money back. We have to pay all this money back. How you doing? Mary, wonderful, beautiful soul. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and teaching your truth. Thank you very much. Mercedes for dropping by here to Can Angels Fly, Tarot, and more. I'm trying to go somewhere with this. I don't know if I can. But I do appreciate you sticking by and trying to ride the wave with me. I'm about to try to keep on going. And so they're going to say, you got to pay all this money back. We all these people. Cost of living going up. Okay. Predictions for September. So, what else do I need to do? Okay. Saturn asks this sarcastic question. I say sarcastic because it said we ain't got a fortitude. It says, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? Get rid of and dissolve toxic divisions such as racism, religion, economic divisions that separate any divisions that separate society unnecessarily. And this segment, okay, I did that. Oh, back to the tribal chief and the intimate community and the tribal chief and the council. Saturn said to me, he said, see, me, who am I? My name is Nancy. And I am one of the 8 billion people in the world today. I am Aquarius. And truthfully, I was born under the sign of Aquarius. I am Aquarius. So Saturn talking to me. This is the ruler. My ruler. One of my rulers. Say, oh, so this is another thing the people got to do. I don't think they got the fortitude for it. Or even the state of, the right soul to do this. And to do what? Is contain and control the spirits and the beasts within with a primary focus on folks' ego. The ego, ego. Why was that important? Why did Saturn bring that up? Say, hey, if you want to free yourself, if you want to liberate yourself in generations to come, this is the hard work that you got to do. I'm giving you a list so you can't say you don't know. I'm telling you that you got to break up in small divisions and prepare to work together. You got to work together on a local level, a national level, in order to make sure that everybody get to address or pacify the requisites to stay in this life. You have to. And the only way you're going to start on that micro level in that community with that tribal chief and the council is people got to put their ego in check. It can only be one chief to each tribe. You got to be able to follow. Another thing is saying, hey, which one among y'all are righteous? Righteous and humble. Which one is educated and knowledgeable enough to hold these positions within your community? That's something. And I was laughing because Saturn was laughing. I tell you, I hear voices all the time. I don't be lying. Label me crazy. I should have a stamp right here. Say, y'all have to humble yourself. Because you will be intimately battling with each other. Over and over and over again. Over who's more important. You can keep doing something, and you're going to starve to death. That's what Saturn said. Laugh. It would laugh. You're going to starve to death. So, you got to tame your beast within, your ego. You got to know your position and play your role. If you don't, we are going voluntarily over into the new paradigm, the new world order, under the new norm, on the new norms that do not have the best interests of humanity in mind. And the reason why the new norm, the new paradigm, and all of the rules, regulations, policies, anything that will occur in the new paradigm don't have our best interest in heart, and does not really care if the world is destroyed, including what? The Brazilian rainforest, the Amazons don't care. They don't care. Oh, I got some stuff I want to show y'all. I don't know how to make a couple of more parts of this. September message deep. It's because I'm telling you, these are either some ethereal beings. This is mine. That's what I'm thinking from what I'm seeing. Some ethereal beings that have manifested in the physical, or there are some extraterrestrials that are present on this planet, and they don't need the resources of this earth, of this self-contained ecosystem, in order to facilitate their existence. Only humans do. And so they're leading us to destroy what we need, and then, as a direct result, ourselves, and any potential for any future generations. For what? Humans. Okay, this is Saturn talking. Saturn is saying something else. But I'm going to read my notes. I'm so excited. This was like the most amazing message. Okay. Okay. I did that. Okay, I did that. What else? Okay, I talked about how the various sectors and have to come together. Okay, I talked about how each sector is responsible for addressing the needs for all people residing within the sector, because they are sharing the sector, you live in close proximity to each other. Okay, the requisites of life, grand urge, obstacles. Okay. And another thing Saturn spoke to me about was, I kind of touched it, but not quite the way Saturn discussed it with me, was saying you got to know who are your farmers. Who are your farmers? Like I stay in Michigan. Where are the farmers? You know what I'm saying? Bump Monsanto as an example. Where are your farmers at? Who got what? Who can do what? And are you willing to do it if you ain't getting no money? What is your motivation to do it? We are supposed to, humans, I don't know who ain't human, any human, you should be solely motivated by doing what you need to do to sustain your lives, those up under your care, and future generations to come. Understanding that if you don't do it, you're going to die. Others are going to die. The human species is going extinct. Literally. So, that's supposed to be your sole motivation. Who's the farmers? What do you do? How can, see, those are where the tribal chiefs and the counselors come in to help support the farmers in one's territories, or those that work with, I don't know, anything you need, horses, whatever you need to facilitate the distribution of everybody. Everybody's need, the distribution of the natural resources to everybody in your area. That's why they have to come together. The chiefs or the leaders and the council, your sole motivation for sitting in those seats and being honorable is to understand if you don't do it, you're going to die. Those up under your care are going to die. You're going to lead humanity to go extinct. That's what Saturn said. Lead humanity to go extinct. Understand me. Let's go back to astrology. Aquarius. Aquarius represents what? Each individual that creates humanity at any given time. We talking about from this point on into the future. Saturn also deals with time and death, inevitable death. So we're talking about the inevitable death of humanity. These beings that we're having a hard time identifying and know how to handle them are helping to hasten humanity to its demise. By doing what? Helping us destroy or distort and contaminate the self-contained ecosystem called Earth that we depend on for our existence. Oh, Saturn was talking. Okay. I don't want to leave Uranus out. Okay, I didn't do no more. I don't know where the pages is. I'm going to let it go because I get to preaching. I get so excited when I hear messages like this. Now, I'm coming over here. Once again, I'm about to partake in my vices. I ain't trying to improperly influence nobody, but I'm doing what I do because this is what I do. So, ride the wave with me if you will. If you can't, if you think I'm a sinner, then I'll see you next time. Or not. So, the next thing is I brought you over here back to this same chart that I presented in part 5.1, the first part of this series of predictions for September, because I wanted to go back to this chart to place this marker here on the zodiac sign of Aquarius. The reason I'm doing so is because Aquarius, this position or this space on this chart is where I heard the song once I did the interpretation of the alignments there, the planets that are placed there. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. I spread my wings and fly away. And I was like, I believe I can soar. I was like, R. Kelly sung that. I was like, what's the chances that I can sum up the interpretation of this section on this chart with that song? And at the same time, R. Kelly is being publicized. Publicity about R. Kelly all over the media. People focus on propaganda and the negative publicity. The sheep do. The people that are in their lower selves do. The people that don't have discernment, that's what they do. Such propaganda as this whole R. Kelly trial and sexual perversion and the rest of it. It's all one of the manipulation tactics of the powers. So, why is it relevant? Well, after I started singing that song and realized that corresponded with R. Kelly, who's being publicized at this time, I asked myself, first I had to sit and ponder. It's called meditation. I did a lotus flower sitting up in my chair, meditated for a while. And I said, well, when did R. Kelly release the song, I Believe I Can Fly? This is what really happened. And so I Googled it. Y'all know I love Google. I had Google. And Google answered me. I always tell y'all that. And Google said that R. Kelly released I Believe I Can Fly in 1995. So, if you follow me, you know I love computers. I love the internet. I love technology. I do. So I said, okay, well, take me to Wikipedia now. So I go to Wikipedia. And once in Wikipedia, I say, hey, tell me about the year of 1995. I'm going to have to say that. Because that's going real deep. And it's so deep, it can change your life. I'm going to have to do another part. and see how to deliver the message. But what can I give you? What did I learn? What did I learn from 1995? What I learned in 1990, matter of fact, I'm going to Wikipedia now and read to you what I found. Maybe you can put two and two together. I don't know what you're capable of doing. I don't know what you want to do. But I'm going to give you a little information. Oh, it's still there. Okay. So what I've done, you can't see the board, but I went to Google. Let me come back over here. I went to Google. And now I'm about to read what I found under the year 1995 under the tab of, or the category of, events. The very first thing I come in contact with is an event that occurred January 1st of 95. What happened in January of 1995 that's so important and relevant for today? Well, it says on Wikipedia that the World Trade Organization, or the WTO, is established to replace the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, or GATT, capital G, capital A, capital T. Why is that important? Well, anyway, I followed the line of thought and I clicked on the World Trade Organization hyperlink and I read that. Then I went back and I clicked on the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade and I clicked on that hyperlink and read that. But what that is about is it was resolving, in short, a summary, but not a very educated summary or scholarly summary. Is it dissolved boundaries that limited or restricted or made it more rigid for international trade. Why is that relevant? Remember, this astrological chart that I set up and interpreted for 2 hours. I misspelled September, ain't that something? I saw that. Okay. Lets us know where the market. What's the market? Well, the market here. This signifies a harsh fluctuation or disproportionate fluctuation in the market. Market, as far as us on the mundane level, your supermarket. Market, as far as the more elite class, we're talking about stock exchange and stock market. Here, and where was the other one? I know it was here. And I would have to look at my notes off the top of my head. It was somewhere else. It was somewhere else on here. I don't want to get the line. I know it was under Taurus, but it was something else here that I can't remember, and I'm not seeing, just piercing at this chart. But it let it know, hey, it's going to be a harsh fluctuation in the market. September. In the favor of who? The powers. So, back to Wikipedia. Under 1995, January 1st, following the lines of thought that the World Trade Organization offered me, and the lines of thought that knowledge about the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade allotted me, I clicked on them, and I found again that it eased or relaxed the criteria for international trades. So let me see if I can click on it and see if I can take you on this ride, this way. Yeah, I did all that. Where is it at? I don't know. Yeah, anyway, I guess I'll go to my notes now, because I don't know. I was reading so much last night. To the point, I don't know exactly. This is international. Yeah, this might. I don't know if this is it. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the next truly relevant or vital clue to what's taking place in September. Anyway, I'm going to find the name of this, and this is going to be the last thing that I most likely try to look in detail for, because I got so many notes. But I want to look for this here, okay, for a reason. I'm going somewhere with this. It is, oh, I know what I should do. Remember, I was saying that the .gov is taking their hands off of the various sectors of life that sustain human life. And they've allowed these various sectors to be broken up into various, well, they're already industries. And those industries owned by corporations, and there are people that own the corporations. So it's private companies now, or privatized, right? Well, of course, I looked up the definition of privatizing. So I do want to read that because it plays back into what I just found and read to you on Wikipedia under January 1st of 1995, I believe. Secret codes. Privatize business. The government will privatize business, industries, and services from public. I'm going to read that again. And it's just in part. It's fragmented, but you can get the drift of it. The government will privatize businesses, industries, and services from public to private ownership. Private ownership and control, meaning the United States .gov will no longer provide public funding. They will no longer provide public funding. I talked about those credits and things, okay? Now, the World Trade Organization, or the WTO, remember, there was this general agreement on tariffs and trade. Well, I'm going to talk about what a tariff is, because lately and women, we usually don't know what all these type of terms are. I'm telling you, I believe I can fly. And all this propaganda and publicity surrounding R. Kelly was the layer for the sheep. If you go deeper, found out exactly what the powers do. I'm telling you, it's hot up in here. If something happened to me, you know they done off me. I ain't did nothing to myself. Don't let them lie to you. TARF. TARIFF. Promotes international trade by reducing or eliminating trade barriers such as tariffs, which are a list of taxes on imports and exports, or a list of fixed charges made by business, especially for use of gas, electricity, or a mobile phone. Another thing that came under that insert in Wikipedia, still talking about what I read in that Wikipedia, trying to summarize it for you so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about, is quotas. Quotas. A limited quantity of a particular product which under official controls can be produced, exported, or imported. I'm going somewhere with this. Keep a positive attitude. So, I'm on Wikipedia, and I'm following the lines of thoughts, and I'm clicking on the hyperlinks, and I'm reading paragraph after paragraph. And again, following the same line of thoughts, I get to February of 1995. Okay, let me go down to February 25th, 1995. And what do I find? On Wikipedia, under the year 1995. Is this stuff I'm talking about relevant for now? For now and into your future. And it's defining your new paradigm. Y'all gotta be poetic. Try to keep y'all alert. February 25th. The Amazon Corporation Treaty Organization, or ACTO, is formed. Is that significant, Nancy, is what I asked myself. So I clicked on a hyperlink called Amazon Corporation Treaty Organization. Listen to what I found out. Oh my God. Right now, it's the time to talk about agents among us. Y'all, it's agents among us, literally. I know y'all hear that terminology all the time. There are agents among us. There are literally agents among us, even here on YouTube. Wink, wink. Pay attention. What I'm about to read holds all the clues that you need to discern, give a discernment activated to identify some of the agents among us right here on YouTube. Okay. Anyway. All right, let's go. Where am I at? I'm on Wikipedia. I just clicked on a hyperlink under February 25th, 1995, that covers the subject matter or the topic of the Amazon Corporation Treaty Organization. So, let's read. Let's find out what that actually is. It says the Amazon Corporation Treaty Organization, or ACTO, is an international, weren't we just talking about international trade being made easy? Anyway, an international organization aimed at the promotion of sustainable development. Sustainable development, do y'all know what that is? I'm going to let y'all research that. Sustainable development of the Amazon basin. The Amazon basin. Now, what do y'all know about the Amazon? I just want to know, what you know about the Amazon? I don't even know where I am. I done lost y'all. If anybody here is showing, ain't nobody here. Because I ain't going, what I'm talking about, the chances of this video getting out is slim to motherfucking none. What do you know about the Amazon? Well, what I know about the Amazon, at least since 2019, that the rainforest was on fire. That the Amazon was on fire. Even in early 2020, since 2020 has begun, the Amazon has continued to be on fire. Why is that relevant? I'll come back to it later. Let me go back to Wikipedia, because how long am I on here? Okay, I got 25 more minutes, then I'm off of here. No super duper long retarded videos. Anyway, the Amazon Corporation Treaty Organization is an international organization aimed at the promotion of sustainable development in the Amazon basin. Its member states are, lend me your ear, its member states are Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Guyana, Peru, I don't know this one, Suriname, Surinamn, no, terrible spelling, can't see, can't spell, can't read. Try again. Suriname, and Venezuela. Okay, I was like, woo, 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 woo. That's drama. Why am I woo? It's because when I read the members of this Amazon Corporation Treaty Organization, and I realized that one of the locations was Brazil, I was like, there's some folks I've been seeing that's really been promoting Brazil, and they have relocated to Brazil at this time. Highly interested agents. Anywho, so where did I go after that? Yeah. I don't know what to click on. Come on, I know you want to me. Oh. Another thing that came up and was revealed in Wikipedia for the year 1995 was on the date of between February 13th and February 21 of 1995. So I do want to go back there before I try to understand where the line of thought I followed, or the hyperlinks I clicked on, and to find what I found. Anyway, in 1995, something else also occurred between February 13th and 21, and it is the subject matter, a theme that was occurring, and it had to do with the violation of human rights. And I'm going to leave that alone because I didn't go all the way down that line of thought, but was signified to me through the clues that during this time of September of 2021, once again in the history of humanity, the corrupt powers, the inhumane powers will be violating human rights left and right. And it's a reason behind that. Maybe at another time I can come back and dive down that particular rabbit hole. So right now I'm confronted with did I click on that? Okay, I did that. Click this. I went line of thought. Ooh, I just saw something else. Oh, wow. What am I saying wow about? I'm going to let it go. So I come back and read in depth. I'm going to just go So where did I click now? I think I'm going to just have to summarize, but I'm going to click here first. Look at that. What's the chances? So I clicked on that. Once again, I didn't write good note. Come back here. Really? There we go. In 1500 of Explorer. That's going back numerous tribal nations prior to the landing in 1500 of Explorer Pedro, who claimed the area of Portuguese Empire. It remained a Portuguese colony until 1808. So this stuff goes back into what I saw right before the presidential election, a few months before the presidential election. You have to follow me to know what I'm rambling on about right now. But I had another discovery last year, I guess in September, and that's how I knew who was going to be elected president. I also knew what was going to take place and the outages and all that kind of stuff. And it's here again, but I didn't see that last night, but I see it now. Oh, it's so much. I'll try. Anywho, so I'm going to try to just summarize what I end up seeing. So I followed those lines of thought, only clicking on the hyperlinks that were relative in the contents that I was reading. And what I realized is that the propaganda and all the publicity surrounding R. Kelly is for the sheeple. R. Kelly is a signal or a flag to the powers that be, that are in the know, to move, to do a particular act. R. Kelly is the signal. For us, it's just propaganda, it's excitement, we nosy, we in somebody else's business, we don't understand what's going on. But to the powers across the world, no matter where they sit, when they saw that R. Kelly, all this publicity with R. Kelly and all that it is, it told them, it signaled to them to do something in particular. And what it has to do with is, guess what they're about to do? And I'm not going to give a prediction about, I'm not going to reveal in this video, at this point in time, the depth of what the message is to the powers. But I'll say this. In history, in times past, the continent of Africa, as has been every other continent across the world, been colonized and ravished, stripped of its natural resources, and hoarded by the powers for a time such as this. The message to the powers is that it is the appropriate time for them to move and to perform certain actions that I'm not going to go over in this video, maybe at some other time, and it's the reason I'm not doing so. But it is to do what? They're about to colonize Brazil and to literally, if I use the R word, what's the other word? See, I can't be dramatic and make an impression. If I forget the words, they're about to colonize and ravish. I'll use the word ravish. The Amazon for all its resources. Everything from, here's some clues, the river, the Amazonian River. Why? Because it's very powerful. And all of the fires, I talked about all the fires that have been occurring in the Amazon since 2019. Was to clear it, to hasten it for big business. It was not natural. It's a natural fire. They did it intentionally. I'm telling you, these heads of these corporations that are over these industries can't be human, because the rainforest is destroying this ecosystem. So anyway, they're willing to do it. They're about to what's that word? I got to colonize it, but they're about to again ravish Brazil. And they're going to do for what? Its natural resources. The water, talking about the Amazon River, as well as the abundance of natural occurring edible plant life, the abundance. I'll take that. As well as the sugar cane. And to process that sugar cane in order to extract a very specific substance in order to propel us into the future. And it's connected, guess what? With the RNA. Yeah. That's what they're about to do. Another thing that I saw was, because I brought up the milk crate challenge. So after I followed this line of thought, of course I cannot successfully take you through step by step. I'll have to do a live study session and literally take y'all step by step so y'all can ride the wave with me all the way. But I'm doing my best to try to share my findings to keep you abreast about what's really going on in our reality. Anywho, after I realized the significance of R. Kelly and all the propaganda and publicity around him, I said, well, what else is just really being, it was trending now. The milk crate challenge. The milk crate challenge is for the common, simple sheeple, but it is a message, a beacon, an announcement to the powers of this world to move on something, and move on something in particular. So I said, well, what the hey the milk crate challenge got to do with anything? And so I sat in my lotus position here in this chair, and I pondered. And I was like, well, what is it about the milk crate challenge then? So I asked Google. I said, hey, Google, how many crates do I need so I can partake in the milk crate challenge? And guess what they told me? I needed 49 crates. Need 49 crates? Okay. So I had to sit with that. Because 49 crates, was that the right question to ask? That was the right question to ask. That was the first question, or second question I asked. First one was, was the milk crate challenge, the trendiness of it, another clue? It was. And then the right question was, how many milk crates do I need to participate in the milk crate challenge? And it's 49. Ain't that something? That's what I'm saying. This is how advanced this encoded system is associated with astrology. Took me down a whole nother rabbit hole. Offered me a line of thought to follow. And it led me to a place that revealed what the powers actually have going on at this time. The changes that they've made to the laws in order to justify the works that they are doing, that we are yet privy to. We will find out later, after they have monopolized all the various corners to all the industries that have the life-sustaining resources that we need. But the milk crate challenge too led me to understand that they were going to seize control of the sugar cane in an area of Brazil. I'm going to end it right there because I've given you a lot this evening. I'll come back most likely at some point in time after days and days and days of procrastinating, I'm sure, and give you some more and take you further down in this rabbit hole that I've discovered. Until next time. But remember, in between time and in the meantime, if you're ever interested in ordering your own personal tarot reading, you can do so by contacting me by email. My email is canangelsfly1 at gmail.com. All right, y'all. Bye.